What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Seoul Therapy, the podcast. My name is Daniel.
Daytona?
Today, we will be reviewing Giriboy's new album, Avante, and Don Malik's new album under Ambition Music called Paid in Soul. As usual, if you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to our podcast on all streaming platforms, and don't forget to give us that 5-star rating. Also, for more contents, please go and follow our socials at soul_therapy. And also please support our page on Patreon at patreon.com/join/soul_therapy. So Giriboy finally came out with his 9th studio album called Avante. And he recently dropped a previous album this year called 9 Cut.
Yeah.
And I would say this one is pretty much reminiscent of 9 Cut, but it has more of the hip hop undertones that we were hoping and we were expecting for. And it's a total of 10 tracks. I think, in my opinion, it's I would say a much improved album from 9 Cut because it brings back the core elements of what Giriboy is known, and that's hip hop. And so definitely I loved a lot of the tracks. I think there are some tracks that felt underwhelming or not underwhelming, but it just kind of brought back that 9 Cut kind of atmosphere. And so I think with this album Avante, I think it's a lot more mature in terms of like what he's talking about. And I think moving forward with his music career, I think that's what he's going to go for in the future. I think he's going to have a much more mature way of making music and the things that he talks about, because it just seems like, with his previous albums, even with 9 Cut, I just think he's now slowly headed in a direction where, okay, let's kind of sharpen our skills a bit and let's kind of be more mature about it and stuff. So the album has like a very jazzy tone to it too, like a jazzy hip hop kind of boom bap tone
Definitely
to it.
does.
And I definitely like that about this album. Definitely my personal favorite track is surprisingly 엉망진창.
That was the one with can you describe the track briefly for me?
It has like a very like an island calypso indie kind of.
Yeah,
like,
that was the last track. Yeah, I remember now. Yeah.
Because the other tracks were like off the singles that we got earlier. But yeah, 엉망진창 was probably my personal favorite because I don't think it's gonna be like that popular, but also I think it has a very more new style of Giriboy to it. It's not like the singy, but it's more not experimental, but it's something that I don't think most people would gravitate towards, and I think that's what I like about that song. And so that one, and also 그리고 돌아섰다 track 3, which is produced by Gray. That one was pretty solid, and that was like a boom bap kind of hip hop track. And then the one with Lil Boy and Nafla, 내일은 없다, that was really good. And the first track, 사자, Lion, that one was solid. And then the one with Jimbo, 그럴 수도 아닐 수도, that one was really good. And I just love the whole structure of the album. It's very reminiscent of not just the album cover, but I think just the way Giriboy goes about this whole album. I think it's very mature, but also it's taking on a new direction in terms of where he's going in his music career. So, there are some underwhelming songs like 그땐 어렸으니까 or like 시공간. Those were they were decent, but I just for the most part,
those this is actually a kind of point. I'm not sure how foreign listeners are like regarding this, but you have the entire 10 tracks on your streaming services, right?
Yeah, all of them.
Yeah, that's not the case for domestic services. Because they were on album pre-cuts. Like singles are not streamable. Like they're only streamable as singles. So you have to put it in your playlist in order to get the whole entire album experience, which is incredibly frustrating.
Yeah.
And this is the case for almost every Giriboy album except for like I think the first 2. Like the singles are not serviceable again.
Oh,
like
you
have to like put it in the playlist yourself and see how it goes. Now I did that like every time like I listened to a Giriboy album.
Yeah.
This is definitely a sort of return to form.
It is, yeah.
Because like he went so far away from hip hop.
Mm.
Like not just hip hop, like he went so far away from rapping, period.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a pretty capable rapper. I won't say he's like the most mind-blowing rapper out there or that he's the most technical or even the most lyrical, but there is a certain style to Giriboy's music that speaks to a sort of very vulnerable place in a person's psyche, I guess.
Yeah.
Especially when he was like bursting out on the scene, a lot of dudes around me liked Giriboy a lot because it showed it kind of represented what the vulnerable side of a 20 years old male from Korea would feel like, you know? And not in a very incel kind of way. Like it was actually kind of like vulnerable in a good way, in a way that's sort of introspective and trying to come into terms with some sort of existential crisis.
Yeah.
And among all that, kind of trying to like figure out romances all the time. Like it was a very pop centric kind of character, but with very hip hop ish characteristics. That Giriboy kind of disappeared for a bit because he was trying to make it wasn't the content that changed, but it just became way simpler and more sing-songy.
Yeah.
And that is not exactly a problem, but because it is sing-songy. The problem is because if you're trying to construct sing-songy kind of tracks, you have to cut down on the amount of lyrics you have.
For sure, yeah.
For example, if you're writing a rap track with a decent chorus and stuff like that, you can have still like 16 bars twice, so that would mean like 32 bars every like song. If you're trying to focus more on melody, you'll have to reduce those lines significantly, which means there's less room for description, less room for and less room to show your pen game in a sense, you know? And that's what I missed a lot about Giriboy. Like the dude's kind of like Kid Cudi and a mixture of Drake in a sense a bit.
Yeah.
When it comes to content, but he's more musically inclined to, I guess, a Kid Cudi. But the stuff he talks about is especially like around like Thank Me Later, So Far Gone era Drake, which means yeah, because he isn't drunk off of success like the obnoxious Drake we have now. And it was more about that kind of lover's man kind of thing. And it's it was such a shame because Giriboy's, while his beat making and melody making is definitely great, that was not his strongest suite. Like, I don't know how it seems for foreign fans, especially for foreign fans who don't understand Korean. But as a person who has always treasured Giriboy's lyrics, it's like, you can do better than this. It was always like that.
For sure, yeah.
And this, in a sense, I wouldn't say it's perfect, a certain return to form. I wish this rapping here isn't his prime rapping, because his flow was always simplistic, but there were some instances where he played with the tempo in a very subtle manner.
Yeah.
Like he's trying to like land before the beat this bar and land after the beat the next bar kind of thing. Almost to the brink of sometimes seeming off tempo, but not quite. Like he was really good at kind of that. In Korean, it's called 밀당.
Yeah.
That pushing and pulling subtly, so that it doesn't feel like it feels kind of solid instead of monotone. But he had a very honest way of rhyming here. If I'm kind of trying to make it sound better.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to have some subtle kind of groove like that's going against the grain, he's really rhyming for like on beat all the time here.
For sure. Yeah.
So because his style on the surface looked like he was rapping on time before, but with subtle differences, I think listeners will think like, he came back. But I think hip hop heads would probably be like, he's not quite there yet, though. You know what I mean?
yeah, I can see the outcry
Yeah.
from like the real kind of like hip hop
It's not exactly
fans.
an outcry because this is a step in the right direction. This is a real big step
True.
in the right direction, but it's like
Mm-hmm.
it's just a little bit not enough.
Mm.
But um lyrically he's very mature. In an almost abstract sometimes. Especially the first track, the way he writes his lyrics. Like the entire track has nothing to do with the lion. The
Mm.
lion just comes out as a metaphor in the last like refrain, right? If you
Oh.
think about it. So in a sense, the title almost has nothing to do with the actual content that is being said in the track. So it's
Okay.
almost like it's a very abstract style of approach, and Giriboy is not exactly known for that. So I think he was trying to like not necessarily appease to the hip hop heads because I don't think he gives a fuck about that anymore. It's
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
about trying to actually write lyrics as self therapy in a sense. Like he's really
Yeah.
trying to collect some of his thoughts. This wasn't a album that was focused on hits, not because he wants to prove himself artistically. I think he's at a point in his career or personal life, I have no idea, where he really wants to sit down and just write out what he's thinking. You know what I
Mm.
mean? So that is good. When a
It
rapper
is
decides to elaborate on what he's thinking, what she's thinking, it's always a good thing. It means that we get more interesting concepts, and that's
for
what we got
sure.
here.
Right.
The production could have been more diverse. I love that he's still keeping that jazz oriented thing, but
Mm-hmm.
it needed to be a bit more interesting for my taste.
I'd say it's a pretty divisive album. You know, it's not
No, it's not divisive.
okay.
Divisive would be like some people really like it and some people really fucking hate it. I don't think no one fucking hates this album. It's more
Okay.
like everyone is saying like usually when it comes to polarizing albums, like you have one side of the people that's saying this is a 9 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10, while the other side is going like this is a 4. Shut up, you know.
Mm.
But the consensus seems to be like this is a decent 7 album on all sides.
Oh, it's like kind of just like a okay. This is like a solid album. Like
Yeah, he's back kind of thing.
okay.
Yeah.
Was there a particular track that you enjoyed?
Definitely the first. Like
Saja.
Saja,
Okay.
like that was when I knew, he's doing something different from his recent stuff. The Aiden of that was great. The
Mm.
whole concept about being so focused in the present and not looking back consequently kind of gets rid of the concept of a tomorrow was kind of interesting.
Mm.
Almost philosophical in a sense. And Chinbo was great. That just music
Oh,
connection coming through right there.
man, that feature was great.
Yeah, and 그리고 돌아섰다 I liked it because it was the melody line was subtle. Like I
Mm.
never like it when Giriboy really tries to go out of his vocal range. He doesn't
Mm.
sound like I'm sorry, but he's not a great singer.
Mm.
Just like Kid Cudi is not a great singer, you
Okay.
know?
Yeah.
But when it comes to bad singers, there are singers that are bad singers, period, but have a great voice.
Yeah. True.
And the one thing that those singers should do is to know their range.
Mm.
If you try to overextend, or if you're too afraid to become too like if you're too afraid and become too subtle, it becomes weird. You need to hit that sweet spot right there. And this is proven through like music history. Like if we're striving out of genres here,
Mm-hmm.
Lou Reed, all right, rest in peace. For example,
Mm-hmm.
he was a terrible singer. And like when it comes to vocal techniques, when it comes to range, he's not a great singer at all.
Mm.
But on his best projects, he knew that it was the vibe that was important.
Of
It was
course.
his
Yeah.
tone, like it was how to use that shit, which makes him consequently into a great singer. You know what I
Right.
mean? So, a lot of hip hop fans, especially, and a little bit of metal fans too. Like just say like they always say like if you're a bad singer, don't sing.
Mm-hmm.
I think differently. There are plenty of bad singers that make great music,
Mm-hmm.
even if they're singing. It all comes down to knowing what you are capable of and what you're not capable of. Not creatively, like on a creative sense, but on a technical stance, you know?
Right.
Because when bad singers go out of range, they sound fucking horrible and I want to turn that shit off.
Yeah.
Or
Can't
they
argue
have
there.
to rely on auto-tune.
Yeah.
But a lot of them don't use it properly.
Mm-hmm.
So, like for example, and I'm striving too much out of here. Anyway, Giriboy hit that sweet spot with that song. So it was like, he's back. This is the Giriboy that I liked. So those 3 tracks I think were the best.
And then the Daedon Opta, it was definitely a reunion with Little Boy and Nafla as they were both on Giriboy's squad on Show Me the Money. And so I thought that was really a cool way to bring back that reunion in this.
Yeah.
I would say Daedon Opta is probably the hardest hitting track. Like in terms of just
I can definitely see that. And Little Boy is on the same crew with Giriboy, so
exactly.
Domain, I think, was it?
Mm-hmm.
Was it Buckwilds or Domain? I'm not sure.
It might have been the first one.
I think it's the Domain thing. Giriboy might not be a part of Buckwilds. I'm not sure, but Domain, they're definitely on the same crew. So the crew's name is Domain. So yeah.
Yeah. So definitely, definitely excited that Giriboy's back to his, original form. I think this is a very solid step, but adding the elements of maturity into a new project, and I'm just super excited where he's going to continue to go in that route. Hopefully, he comes back with his older self, while being mature with the lyrics and the structure of the beats and stuff.
Yeah, at this point, all I want from him is to be a little bit more adventurous with his rhyming.
Yeah,
but keep rhyming nonetheless. So yeah,
exactly,
definitely.
Yeah. I mean, great album. So our second album is Don Malik. This is his second studio, but his first album under his new label called Ambition Music, and this caught me off guard pretty surprisingly. I had no idea that Don Malik was signed to Ambition, nor would I have thought that he would sign to Ambition Music. And so, yeah, this album I thought was pretty good, despite the fact that I'm not like the biggest Don Malik fan. And
before we actually delve into the review, we have to kind of clear the air a bit.
Oh yeah, please do.
Yes. Apparently, I never knew this, but I think because Korean hip hop is not that big as of right now in international circles, a lot of kind of events kind of tend to go under the radar, and a lot of people still think that Don Malik is a sexual offender. Yeah, I heard this from up in Seoul Therapy, and I was just flabbergasted because the very fact that he was wrongly accused was actually one of the biggest things in hip hop last year. One of the biggest dramas, actually. And Don Malik was Me Too'd in 2019 or 2020, if my memory is serving me correct. He was charged for sexual assault. The thing is, he was not charged. I know I just said charged, but you know what I mean. He was accused and he didn't even go to court. Not because of some judicial injustice. The prosecutors who received the case threw it out. What? The reason being so, you need how the judicial system works is that you need to present evidence.
Of course.
But when it comes to accusing, you don't necessarily need evidence. Like even the most dumb basic shit can accuse someone. Yeah. Whether the matter goes to court is up to the prosecutor. The prosecutor threw out the accuser's claims because there was no evidence. Not a faulty evidence, not some sort of espionage or whatever. There was no evidence at all. You have to have an evidence to present if you're going to have some sort of trial, right?
Right.
So this isn't even a case where Don Malik went to trial and was proven innocent. This was a case where there was no case in the first place. You see what I mean?
Yeah. So it was just pretty much he was just accused. That's it.
Yes, accused, but it's because it was during the height of Me Too season in Korea. And not to take me wrong here, Me Too was a very important movement.
Of course.
And it was something that should have happened. It should have happened even a long time ago. The very fact that it happened this late is a tragedy. It should have definitely happened.
I agree.
But, and especially if you have listened to this podcast, you know where my political inclinations are kind of are.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's one case that I'm fully 100% guaranteeing to get behind as being wrongly accused, it's Don Malik's. So, you can search up the whole drama, but I'll just say that there has, like, at the end of the day, the very fact remains he didn't do anything. Period. So, from here on out, people who have been missing out on Don Malik because either you liked him as an artist but was disappointed in him, or you just flat out didn't even try to bother listening to his music because of this. Please support him and please listen to his music because he's one of the most well-renowned rappers in the scene right now and puts out great work. The wrongly accused, they have to be recognized that they have been wrongly accused. And the people who tried to sue him later contacted him again saying that they want to get on good terms with him again. Like, the whole thing is such fucking bullshit. And Don Malik had all the receipts and he posted it on Instagram when this was at the height of everything. All the message boards, all the message shit that went on in this, like, all of it. So this is improvement, so let it go. It didn't happen, okay? Now, back to the music with that out of the way. This was great, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I figured you liked the album.
His last album is called The Cactus Flower, Malik the Cactus Flower. Yeah, and that was out of the many albums I reviewed, that is when it comes to Korean hip hop, that's the only contemporary Korean hip hop album that I gave a 10 out of 10 if my memory is correct.
It's a deserving 10 out of 10. I thought it was a great album as well.
The great thing about that album is that when it comes to production, it's pretty much classic hip hop. It's not something that is boundary pushing. But I gave a 10 out of 10 because of Don Malik's prowess as a rapper. When it comes to MCing, what I look forward to the most, what I think is the most important in the art of rhyming, in the art of MCing, is that you should be a natural.
Yeah.
It shouldn't seem forced. You know the whole lyrical miracle mumbo jumbo that a lot of Eminem copycats are doing, like, with the same content, like, you gotta have a lot of different flows, but they're all spitting the same different flow, like, and they should hate mumble rap and all these new cats, like, blah 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 blah, and they're all wearing the same tank tops and the snapback backwards, and they're all white guys and stuff like that. That's the stuff I hate the most. But it is also true that that is a cliche kind of a lot of underground rappers can fall into. Just because you're rhyming a bunch of bullshit words and rapping them fast doesn't make you the most dopest rapper in the world.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. And even if you do that, you need to have some sort of uniqueness to yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, Don Malik actually understands that the best in Korean hip hop, I think, right as of right now.
Ah, big statement right there.
Yeah, the two people that I consider that fall into this criteria the best is Kundi Panda and Don Malik. The way they rhyme their words is amazing because they don't disrupt the Korean syntactic order of how a sentence should be written a lot of the times. They don't use a lot of English either. But
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, and the way their rhyming is so intricate still.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can really think maybe it's their natural talent. If they're freestyling this, they're geniuses. And Kundi Panda can. I'm not sure of Don Malik. But anyway, you can really see that they really put their effort into writing this shit. It reads so naturally, even just as poetry in a sense. But the words and rhyming is so intricate. if you say these sentences, a lot of these lyrics, when you're just having a honest conversation, like just a conversation with someone in real life, it wouldn't seem off. That's what's so amazing about Don Malik. Like the other person that does this is E-Sense.
Of course.
Yeah. So in a sense, they are the true disciples of E-Sense in a way. And in some aspects, even better, because when it comes to just pure rhyming, they might even be better than him. It's like, for example, Nas, for example.
Yeah.
Nas is hell of a rhymer, but he's not the most intricate rhymer in the game. The way he uses those less rhymes and still makes it work is what makes Nas such a great rapper.
Yeah.
But you have people like Joey Badass or people like The Game, for example. The Game is a West Coast rapper, but he's heavily influenced by Nas. Just look at his flow. They're, in a sense, sometimes more intricate with rhymes, and they don't break up the sentences. That's what makes them a great rapper. So it's kind of a natural progression of what this style was always intended as to be, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And Don Malik is a disciple of that, and it really fucking shows. Like,
it does, yeah.
What I really like about Don Malik is that every song has this razor sharp topical approach.
Yeah, that's
true. He's not derivative. He's not just rapping for the sake of it. He has a topic on his song, and he really writes, like, focuses on that topic and finishes a well-constructed song from start to finish.
And that's what I was gonna mention, because in this album, it's like you mentioned, he has a set topic that he wants to talk about, and if you look at the titles of these songs, it almost feels like he's giving a story of his life. You know what I mean? It's like there's tracks called Kogi Banchan or you know Seoul or Not an Ambition, Be a Pro, you know,
it's always
Soul
been
Survivor.
Yeah, it's always been a great element to his music. Because I'm going to delve really deep into this. Malik the Cactus Flower was very introspective and biographical. And each song had a metaphor. Like, for example, there was a track called Bomb on it. And the bomb is a whole metaphor for like the first time he had a creative burst in his adolescence. Like, so fucking poetic. Like, there's a song called Sun Rays, which is about domestic violence that he had to suffer from his father. So you have these words in the title. Like, the title is the theme word, and he expands that concept and makes it into a very concise kind of almost essay each song is. And you put those essays together, and it becomes a very good book kind of thing.
Right.
Now, Malik the Cactus Flower was fresh, like his first comeback since the whole sexual assault debacle. There's actually a song about it on there on how he tried to suicide because of that. It's a it sounds bright, but it's a very dark album. And it's just so intricately. That's why it's called the Cactus Flower, because he felt like he was on like in the middle of a desert kind of thing.
Yeah,
I think that was the whole concept. This album is a bit different, both sonically and concept wise. The Malik the Cactus Flower was a very personal album.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. The only song on there that really almost acts like a sort of hip hop anthem is like one or two songs. The rest are very biographic, which makes it great. But you can have the more personal approach, and you can have the more anthemic or relatable approach. For example, when it comes to narrative, you can either make it focus inwards or you can make it reach outwards. This was more of an album that's trying to like connect to the listener on a level. It's not like this is my life. It's more like maybe you and my life is sort of similar in this way, which plays into the whole paid in Seoul concept, because a person who's living in Seoul will relate to a lot of the shit that he's saying right here.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And this is also a little bit just further than regionalism in a sense, because the whole album is an homage to Paid in Full by Eric B. and Rakim.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
There's even a picture of him holding the Eric B. Paid in Full album on the cover.
Yeah.
Now, being paid in Seoul is, that whole phrase has ringing to it, because soul is what we consider, what the 21st century people, like people in this era globally probably, will consider one of the most hyper capitalistic and hyper meritocracy focused states. Like this is the hub of I won't really say a real fucking hub, but a very important part of the financial district when it comes to East Asian economies. It's the height of capitalism in a sense.
Okay.
So, soul, if you're with the word soul, you're trying to connect with people who are living in Seoul.
Right.
With the word paid, you're trying to connect with people who are living under capitalism. So in a sense, there is a complete kind of merger between nationality and societal system, like societal construct kind of marriage in it. And these two sentiments kind of marry into this album very well. So it's all about people who are trying to get by their day and trying to earn the dough in hip-hop slang in Seoul. So, and the way that the sounds he used, like no matter what, like there are two sound palettes that really fit in with Seoul. One is jazz.
Yeah.
And the other is super electronic cyberpunk shit because of all the neon signs and stuff. This leans into the jazz kind of aspect of it. What I also liked about this when it comes to sound is that Don Malik is known for his boom bap style.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, and when he first said that he's going to Ambition, I was a little bit worried, and not worried. I was a little bit puzzled.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was shocked.
I was very confused because, for example, The Quiet is a great boom bap rapper,
right?
And he's a great boom bap producer. This era of creativeness of The Quiet has mostly on trap music.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, what would Ambition music do for Don Malik? Like, none of the other rappers in there exactly play up with Don Malik's stuff and stuff like that. So it had me being a little bit worried because Don Malik going emo would have been such a tragedy for me.
Yeah.
And I don't think he would be greatly skilled in making emo rap per se. But turns out it wasn't exactly the case. Like, a lot of the album is consisted of trap drums, yes, definitely. But the samples that are being used are definitely from jazz, like influence, like soul influence stuff. So in a sense, if you're comparing this to his original album, like his first studio album, which is the Cactus Flower, the only thing that kind of changes is the drums.
Yeah.
And having that similar sort of sample palette, or I don't know, maybe it's a splice. I'm just saying it for the sake of it. It still brings the sense that he hasn't changed that much.
Yeah.
And the topicals, his lyrical prowess and technicalities as a rapper is still on full blast here. Like, every song has its own topic. Like, it's literally talking about the title. And that kind of makes his music a little bit more accessible. It's not super like heady and it flies over your head kind of complex, you know? Individual lines may be, but you get a general idea of what the song is about without that much like depth into it. This isn't like a Kimishimiya Triple X record.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in a sense, it kind of makes I know it sounds stupid, but in a sense it makes sense. Because Don Malik is looking for, I think what Don Malik is looking for is not to try to change his music that much, but look for a more accessible platform.
For sure.
And this album, to me, I like the Cactus Flower more, of course, because I don't give 10 out of 10s that easily unless it's like a classic record. But this is such a well-made album, just period. Like, the flows are great, the hooks are great, the way he's rhyming is great as ever. I honestly didn't think he would be this good on trap beats, but
dude, that's what I was gonna say, dude. I was like, what the heck? Like, because there's a track called Kogi Banchan, that's a straight trap song, and I was like, what? Don Malik?
There's
Dude,
like
what the heck?
3 or 2 boom bap trap sound decks, and the rest of it is in trap drums.
And
And
that was more surprising. The fact that he had more
yeah,
trap sounds than his boom bap sounds, but he pulled it off, like you said. He pulled it off like what the heck?
effortlessly.
Like what did you eat type of thing? Like what did you eat to the point where you could not only rap so well
Yeah,
in boom bap, but in
exactly.
trap as well. And to me, my personal favorite, I kept mentioning a Soul Survivor. It features Kim Yoon
Mm,
and Fana. Oh my
yeah.
goodness. That
Finals. You got Doom on your record.
oh dude, I got chills listening to the
Yeah.
song. I straight up just got chills when I heard Fana just going off. And this is straight up, I told you this, it reminded me of the Alchemist beats.
Yeah,
Like the
definitely.
Quiet produced it, and I was just like, yo, this is straight up what I would hear on something on like a Griselda record.
Was it solely The Quiet? I think he did it with someone else. Shout out to
It
who
might
it
have
was.
it might have
Yeah.
actually just been
The
the
executive
Quiet, actually.
production, the executive producer was The Quiet. And it was
Right.
mixed by The Quiet as well. Um, Soul Survivor. No, it's
It's
actually all The Quiet. Huh.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
All
The
the
Quiet,
Quiet.
man. Beast.
I mean, it's
He's our
dude,
Pete Rock. Yeah.
I was so surprised by how the Quiet was able to create something like this, you know, because he's not used to these types of beats. We know he can make like a really good boom bap beat, but not like to this extent, not like an Alchemist style beats, you know?
Actually, The Quiet started off with a boom bap career, so
Yeah.
this isn't that much of a surprise to me
Mm-hmm.
because he has always been great. Like there's an instrumental album called The Q Train, and that's
Oh,
just classic. That's
Classic.
classic. Period. And he's a very big fan of Pete Rock.
Mm-hmm.
Like he even bought a beat from Pete Rock and put it on in one of his albums. And
Oh,
there's
interesting.
a
Oh,
song called
it was off of his
One Life to Live album,
Yeah,
and
I
that's
knew it.
there's a joint on
I
there
knew it.
produced by
Yup.
Pete Rock. I
Mhm.
forgot. My memory's so bad these days. Sorry to the listeners. I'm on exam period right now, and my brain is on.
I know what it is. I know
My
what
brain
it is.
is literally like in a tank of energy drinks. So
It's called Who Else. It's called Who
oh
Else.
yeah.
Who else?
내가 아니 what's the Korean title for it? Fuck.
But the English translation is Who Else. So
I need to say this. Sorry. I need to say this. I'm searching it up right now. The Quiet. I have it in my phone anyway.
yeah, this album was just pure like gold. Like he
과연
struck-
누가? Yeah. Who else?
Yeah.
It was basically about saying who else will do the shit that I do, but yeah. And him being a disciple of Pete Rock really kind of bleeds into his music a lot of the times. He actually produced a couple joints off of Owen's Poem 3 record too, and that wasn't the new Griselda type kind of thing.
Yeah.
It was really classic Pete Rock shit. And the song itself is also named Soul Survivor, and I think that was an homage to Pete Rock as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like Pete Rock has an album called Soul Survivor, if I'm not. Yeah, so and I think the whole thing, like The Quiet, I think probably had it in his files. I'm not sure how it went, of course, but I can see him having this beat already because he's such a big Pete Rock fan anyway, and he just named it Soul Survivor, kind of a wordplay. Like that soul is a MF Doom wordplay, by the way.
Yeah.
And like, maybe Don Malik went through a lot of quiet beats, and he was like, this is great. What's the title of this? Soul Survivor.
I mean,
and ran with
it works.
And it fucking worked.
Really
Who cares?
works, yeah.
Also, like The Quiet executive produced this.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
anytime The Quiet executive produces something, I'm in for it because The Quiet has a very, especially when it comes to mixing and engineering, The Quiet has a very weird approach. Usually when it comes to these kind of albums and trap albums as well, you need some dirty kind of mixing to make it sound state from, like the state stuff.
Yeah.
I think, and a lot of people, like the one thing that's polarizing about The Quiet is the mixing. Not because he's a bad mixer or engineer, but it's he tries to make it as clean as possible.
Yeah.
He's not into that dirty shit. And I like it personally because no one shits on his abilities. It's more about the preference of styles here. I like it a lot because it works better in the Korean market. And there are certain elements to clean mixing that has an advantage over dirty stuff. Is that when it comes to the overall vibe, I think the dirty what kind of mixing might be better for hip hop, especially if the beat is very minimalistic.
Yeah.
But if the mixing is clean, you hear very subtle details. Like you get to pick up on a lot of details that are going on. Like you hear a snare that wasn't used to be there, or you hear a different bass line, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
And that kind of makes repeated listens kind of rewarding.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like you see a lot of this stuff in like alternative rock albums or pop albums. I'm not sure if like why not hip hop too, you know?
True. Yeah.
And that kind of subtlety really works here because the beats here are very minimalistic. This is more of like very sample based and loop based. But that kind of clean mixing gives it another kind of focus. And I think Don Malik works better on lighter drums than heavier ones.
Yeah.
Because his tone is kind of a little bit grating, you know? It's a little bit gravelly. And if it means dirty shit, I'm not saying he does bad on dirty shit because he does it fine. But if I have to talk about a preference here, like the clean beat kind of makes his tone more accentuated and more unique.
Yeah.
So, and the way he's really rhyming here, like,
yeah, dude. Oh man.
Like he hits that sweet spot of like sounding like talking and rapping at the same time.
Yeah.
So it doesn't sound stupid or corny. But while doing all that, he really knows how to like chop up his tempos. Like sometimes it's very choppy and sometimes it's so smooth, and he does it like switches it up all the fucking time. So it's like you can't anticipate what he's going to do the next bar. Sometimes like his rhymes are placed in a half bar so that it becomes very choppy, or he has like a 4-syllable rhyme for the whole bar and then just makes it chunky that way. So it's like choppy, chunky, and smooth all the time on the same album, and he's like switching to these kind of styles of like it's nothing. Like the dude was born to rap.
Yeah, no, you could definitely hear it in the album. And there's another track actually on that album called Be a Pro, and that's another one that produced by The Quiet, and it was also
Be a Pro is amazing.
It was also assisted with Prima Vista, who also helped. And so that one had like a boom bap / trap hybrid sound. It had a little bit of both in it. So I thought that was really creative on The Quiet and Prima Vista. And I was kind of like saddened because it was such a short track. It's like only 2 minutes.
But it's like a lyrical onslaught anyway.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly.
None of that shit. Bars, motherfucker, kind of thing. So
yeah, as long as I get like the strong lyricism, I don't care about the length. As long as it's like you said, as long as it slays the beats and it delivers.
The Dingo freestyle was great too.
Yeah.
Like the dude is great live, by the way. Like that is not an anomaly at all. I think I saw him once. I mean, I watch so many YouTube shit when it comes to Korean hip hop live, so I'm not sure whether I was there or I watched it through YouTube. Sometimes I don't remember, especially before COVID. I used to go to a lot of shows, so it really gets fucked up in my head. But Don Malik has never disappointed me live anyway.
Yeah.
Dude is great live. Like, there's almost no studio engineering involved in his vocals. I know that because he does that shit effortlessly in the live environment anyway. Another thing, this is more a testament on Don Malik rather than this album. This album was great, so listen to it, cop it, whatever. If a physical comes out, cop it. You know how Just This is kind of getting a lot of flack these days for like saying that, like shitting on VMC for changing lanes and then him kind of switching lanes even in a worse way. Like this is a classic, like the hero became the villain kind of situation.
Yeah.
But if Don Malik makes it huge on ambition and music, he might be the one that's actually kind of realizing Justice's vision. He never went on Show Me the Money for all I know.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And he gets tons of respect from the hip hop scene right now. He went through all that sexual assault bullshit. So he beat that too. It's just, isn't this kind of the rapper we were all looking for?
Yeah, no, yeah, I
If
completely agree.
if he becomes commercially successful as well, it means that Korean hip hop has come so far, you know?
Yeah.
Because I'm not shitting on any other subgenre here, but when it comes to chart topping singles
Mm-hmm.
from the hip hop sphere and the K hip hop sphere, you know it was tailor made for the charts.
Yeah.
Aside from the quality of it, like you know it was engineered so that it could do well on the charts. Now, this is a hopeful, wishful thinking, but if Don Malik stuff actually manages to break the charts because through ambition music marketing and stuff,
Yeah.
he would be almost a reincarnation of Bean Zeno in a more grassroots boom bap type of thing.
Damn, that's crazy.
That would be
That'd be insane.
incredibly culturally significant, you know?
For sure. Yeah.
Like, this is the guy who literally didn't use the system in almost any way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
He
Yeah.
really made it here with just the music.
Yeah.
I mean,
He didn't cheat the system.
he stepped on Mike's swagger sometimes and stuff like that. But
Yeah, but
seriously,
that's more.
that's
That's
that's a grassroots cultural content. This isn't some Mnet
exactly.
bullshit.
Yeah.
So it's like, maybe this might be the 100% hip hop kid that we have been looking for.
Exactly.
And I'm not I'm not saying like the industry plan thing and everything is like I think that whole thing is stupid. I don't care if you're an
Mm-hmm.
industry plan or not. If your music is good, you're good. Period. Like that whole like Billie Eilish is an industry plan. Wah, shit is corny. Get the fuck out of here. But with all that being said, you need to have these kind of grassroots examples as well,
For sure. Yeah.
right? It's about a balance. Like it's so great to see him to get this. Like a lot of
Yeah.
people should know more about Don Malik, and I really don't think he's the type to go out and show me the money.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, this is even more hardcore than like 2017 Justice.
Yeah.
So
Oh wow, that's a pretty big statement right there.
there's a whole
Yeah.
reason because when it comes to like Justice VMC beef, it was Don Malik and VMC's beef first. You know?
Oh wow.
Like if you look at the whole
Okay.
timeline, Justice kind of stepped in because he didn't like what VMC was saying when they were having a whole beef with Don Malik.
Mm.
And in a sense, when all of the people surrounding him are switching lanes, Don Malik is staying there.
Yeah.
Like even like the most well-known like grassroots guy, like the culture, like the center of the culture guy in Korean hip hop was E-Sense.
Mm-hmm.
But even E-Sense had his Supreme Team career, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he can do this because he had been commercial before.
Yeah.
He did start, of course, as a fully underground rapper.
Uh-huh.
He blew up because of Supreme Team, and when he went solo, with his whole drama with the label and everything, he kind of denounced his mainstream days. Not directly, but he kind of did artistically. So I think that's why, like, in a sense, he could have been the significance that he is right now. Because that was the maximum amount of the quote-unquote cultural purity we got.
Mm-hmm.
This might be the better example of it.
Yeah.
Don Malik never
definitely.
went mainstream. Don Malik never had chart success. But he's like slowly building his career, coming up and up and up and up. And ambition music means a lot in this scene, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
This is great. This is great to see. Like, I wish Kundi Panda could have been like that too.
Mm,
And not shitting on his decision at all. Like everyone has to try to feed themselves and their family.
for sure.
But he did go out on Show Me the Money. Right?
Yeah.
Don Malik didn't. So it's like, maybe this is where I should have been looking at. Of course, musically, I was always in tune with him, but
Mm-hmm.
I never considered, like, when this album came out and I liked it so much, and then I thought back his career, maybe this is the guy we were looking for all this time.
Yeah. And this album is it? I think he's proving himself to be a top MC at such a young age. You know, he's
Yeah,
becoming a
and
prodigy, and so
Like
which is good to see.
exactly, and the features he got, like the Vita features
Yeah.
and stuff like that, like and the hooks he's
Wow.
composing and stuff,
Yeah.
like it's catchy.
Very
Right?
catchy. Yeah.
So it's like he knows how to make great hooks too. So it's like he has so much potential. Like if
Yeah.
he makes it to the top of the charts, not with this
Wow.
album or 10 per chance because it's already done,
Uh huh.
but if he manages to like top this and make something that is so fucking amazing and chart success wise as well, it would be so much for the culture. It
For sure,
really
yeah.
would mean that the pie like expansion that Show Me the Money has brought to the hip hop scene really meant something,
Yeah.
because this kind of grassroots kind of ascension is now possible.
True. Yeah.
So I'm looking for that.
Yeah.
Great
Same
album.
here, yeah.
Great rapper. Support it. Listen to it. When the physical comes out, buy that shit.
Yeah,
Don
I
Malik,
too
Paid and Soul. Yeah.
I too co-sign that. I highly recommend the album. As a person who is not like the biggest fan, but this album definitely grew on me, and I co-signed that with Daytona. Definitely
Yeah.
recommend it. Highly recommend it. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, super excited for his career moving forward as part of Ambition Music. And so, as we begin to slowly wrap up our show, as usual, any artist or tracks that you're currently listening to and would like to share or recommend to our listeners. I'm gonna go simple, and we kind of mentioned this so many times because of Show Me the Money. I'm gonna go with Jamez, and the song is called N3A07. It features Stella Jang, and it's off of Jamez's The Pink album. And I just love this album, man. It's just so the whole vibe is just so comfortable, very easy listening to, and especially this track. It's partly produced by Dax Hood too, which is really cool to see, because I would have never thought that Dax Hood would
forward thinking producers here.
Exactly. And so this had like this really indie trap sound. It's very mellow because
alternative,
it almost feels like a lo-fi trap sound, because Stella Jang brings in that kind of like ballad, kind of like R&B tone to it, but it's still also at the end of the day a hip hop song. And I think while the Pink album is not like the greatest album, but I do think it's one of the more easy. One. It's a unique, but it's also a easy listening album.
Yeah.
Like you can listen to it very comfortable. You don't have to like, feel any or hold any grudges or anything about it. It's just a really comforting album to listen to, especially this song N3A07. So definitely go check it out. Definitely check out the whole album. It's such a good project. Yeah.
Okay. A great recommendation. Go listen to it. Since we were talking about Don Malik a lot, I'm going to recommend a song called Red. It was off of the first album, the Malik'S Cactus Flower.
Yep.
This is one of the most impressive lyrical displays I have seen in hip-hop history, K-hip-hop history,
No
period.
doubt.
Not like when it comes to the rhyming, the flow, that's the default. It's fucking amazing. But it has one of the most creative ideas I have seen in a while. Like, I think that was in my like top 10 tracks of 2020 or something too.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Top 3 actually. Top 1 or top 3. Anyway, and you have to look at the translation. Like the whole concept of red is so amazing. He focuses on the color red. Like this is how you should write an abstract hip hop song. And anything resembling this color red, like he mentions in his songs. And he kind of manages to make a commentary on the whole artist and the listener dichotomy, and how like artistic sentiment is shaped him, and in turn it is being passed on to the listener and is shaping them. And he makes an allegory to blood and the social media likes, which is usually a heart that is a red color as well.
Right.
Then it talks about the sun, which is kind of orange, but you get the kind of idea with what the blood is. So in a sense, he gets this whole image of letting out his blood under the sun for likes, and it's how his blood is converted into social media likes and stuff like that.
Oh.
So he makes this very philosophical and very interesting writing approach using very intricate metaphors, and he pulls it off fucking perfectly. Like, it's so abstract but so relatable at the same time, and the writing is just so intricate. Like every word is not wasted. There's a reason why that word is there. Like this is some MF Doom level kind of lyricism here, like A$AP Rock kind of shit. Yeah.
Wow,
so it's like that's when I knew that song, like the whole album of Cactus Flower was great, but when I hit that song, and I was like, I always knew he was a good rapper, but this is fucking another level. This is like, holy shit, you are even way better than I expected you to be.
Wow.
Like, that was when he's on something else. That song made that album a 9 out of 10 to a 10 out of 10, actually.
Oh, okay.
So, like, if you have the translation, please look up into it. And if not, put it in Google Translator and try to look at what it is.
Definitely. Yeah, I agree. When you listen to Don Malik's album, definitely have the translations. I agree.
And the hook is like in someone else's perspective or his future perspective, past perspective. I'm not sure. And there's a personality kind of separation in there, and he kind of portrays it by screwing it down. The Houston style. So it's like everything about that track is so well thought out. And oh my God, it's just like this is prime hip hop. This is prime hip hop,
Yeah.
Like, this is what hip hop is all about. This is what made me fall in love with the genre, and I still love it now. So definitely check this track out. The whole album, actually, like, just look through the entirety of Don Malik's discography.
Yeah.
There's not much because of that period he had of disappearing from the public, but definitely check it out. And fuck it, I'll say it again. Listen to Red. Yeah,
for sure. Well, that's all the time we have for today, but please do comment and let us know what you think of today's topics. And if you enjoyed today's episode, please go and subscribe to our podcast on all platforms, and please give us that 5-star rating. If you want more K-hip-hop contents, go check out Daytona's Instagram at @mykdaytona_Daytona for K-hip-hop album reviews, and also follow our social media page at Seoul_Therapy. Thank you guys so much, and see you guys next time. Peace.
Peace.